In this video, we're tracing through an example program to show the output that would occur at various loop iterations. The question asks us to identify the output when the loop iteration counter has the value 0, then show the output when the counter is 1, then when the counter is 2, and finally when the counter is equal to 3. So we're going to trace through this program using a memory worksheet. And I also pulled up the example code in idle, so we can see that over here. So we want to start executing, and we want to keep track of all the variables that are part of this program. So that's count, second count, third count, and result. So I added those all to my memory worksheet over here. All 4 of them get initialized to the value 0. Now we want to be the program and predict what will happen. We want to pretend like we're the computer and show which lines execute at which times. So the first thing the computer does is check to see whether the current value of count is less than 3. And that's true because 0 is less than 3, which means this entire loop body is going to execute. And so we want to start executing those individual commands. The first one says set second count equal to 0. So we're going to do that. We would update this. The new value is 0, and I'm going to cross out the old one just to show it's not valid anymore. And then we're checking to see if second count's less than 3. That is true as well. 0 is less than 3. So now we're going to execute this inside loop several times and execute its loop body. That's a nested loop situation. That's what we call it when there's a loop inside a loop body. So in this case, it's going to set the result equal to count times count. So count is 0. Count times count is also 0. So we're going to add that over here as our new updated value of result. Happens to be the same as the old value, but that's okay. The computer makes the update anyway. The next thing that happens is it prints out the value of the result. So in my output window, I'm going to type out 0 because that's being output. And then finally, I'm going to execute the update step for that inside loop. I'm going to update the value of second count by adding 1 to it. So I'm going to take the current value of second count at 0. I'm going to add 1 to it, which gives me 1. And then I'm going to store that value back into my variable second count. So again, what was happening is it looks at the value of second count that's currently there, and that's a 0, adds 1 to it, so it gets 1 as the total, and then it stores the total back into second count, which is updating it so it has the value 1. Now we're going to go up to the top of that loop again. We're going to the top of the inside loop because we're still executing that, and we're going to check to see is the value of second count less than 3. And it is. Second count's currently 1. 1's less than 3, so we're going to do the body of this inner loop again. We're going to first calculate a new value for result. We need to multiply count, which is 0, by count, which is 0. It gives us a 0. So we're updating the value of result, making it 0 again. It already is 0, but again, the computer doesn't care or know about that. Now it's going to print out the value of result. That's a 0, so we're displaying that to the screen. And then next, we're going to update the value of second count by adding 1 to it. So we're taking the current value of second count, which is 1, adding 1 to it, so we get 2, and then storing the result 2 back into second count. Now we go up to the top of that loop again. We're checking to see if second count's less than 3. It is, because 2 is less than 3. So we're going to do the whole body of the loop. We need to update the value of result. We're going to make it equal to count times count, which is 0 times 0. So we're updating the value so it's a 0. Now we're going to print the result, so it'll be 0. And then we're going to update the value of second count by adding 1 to it. We're increasing the value by 1. So now it's 3. Now we go back up to the top of the loop and test the condition again. 3 is not less than 3. This condition is now false, which means we're not going to execute the loop body. Instead, we're going to continue on down here where the next statement at like the same indentation level exists. So this one is right under the W for while, so we're going to execute that. It says set third count equal to 0. I'm going to do that. And now we're moving on to the next statement. This happens to be another loop. So this loop is also nested inside this outside loop. And we're going to test the loop condition, checking to see if third count's less than 2. That's true. So now we're going to execute the body of the loop. We want to set result equal to third count plus count. 0 plus 0 is 0, and then we're going to store that as the result, which is 0. Next, we're going to print out the value of the result. So we're going to print a 0. And then finally, we're going to update the value of third count by incrementing it by 1, taking the current value of third count, which is 0, adding 1 to it to get 1, and then storing the result back in third count. Now we go up to the top of this loop again. We're checking to see if third count's less than 2. That's true, so we need to execute the loop body. We're going to calculate the value of result. It's the current value of third count, which is 1, plus count, which is 0. It gives us 1, and then we're going to store that value as result. So the result is 1. Oops. Then we're going to print out the value of result, so that's printing the 1 to the screen. And then finally, we're going to update the value of third count by adding 1 to it, so it becomes 2. And we're going to check the loop body or loop condition again. 2 is not less than 2. This will be false. So we're not going to execute the loop body. We're going to come down here and print an extra blank line. That'll help us separate the output in our program. And then finally, the last line in our loop body is to update the value of count. We want to take the current value of count and add 1 to that. So we're going to get 1 as our result and store it up here. That's the end of the first loop iteration. The iteration where count is equal to 0. It printed 4 zeros and then a 1. Now we want to see what the output is for the next iteration. We're going to perform the same tasks, starting with our current values. So we check to see if count's less than 3, and it is. So we're going to do the whole loop body again. The first thing that happens is we update the value of second count, so it's 0. Then we check to see if second count's less than 3. That's true. So we're going to execute the loop body, calculate a new value for result. That's count times count, which is 1 times 1. So result is going to be 1. Make that update. Then we're going to print out the value of 1. And then we're going to update the value of second count by adding 1 to it. Now we're checking the value of the loop condition. That's true, 1's less than 3. So we're going to execute the loop body, calculate a value for result. That's 1 times 1 is 1 still. Then we're going to print the value of result and then update the value of second count. So it's 2. Then we're going to check to see what the loop condition is. So we're checking is 2 less than 3. That's true. We're going to calculate the value of result. 1. Then we're going to print the value of result. That's 1. And then update the value of second count. So it becomes 3. Then we're going to check our loop condition. 3 is not less than 3. That's a false condition here. So we're going to move down to the next statement and update the value of third count. So it's 0. Then we're going to check to see if 0 is less than 2. It is. So we're going to calculate a new value for result. We're going to take third count, which is 0, and add count to it. That's 1. So the total will be 1, and we're going to store that as result. Then we're printing the value of the result, and then finally updating the value of third count. So it's 1. Now we need to check our loop condition again. We're checking is 1 less than 2. It is, so we're going to execute the loop body, get a new value for a result. That's third count, which is 1, plus count, which is 1. So that'll be 2, and storing the result in our variable result. 2. Now we're going to print out the value of result, so that's 2, and then update the value of third count by adding 1 to it, so that's 2. Now we're going to check the loop control again. We're checking to see if 2 is less than 2. That's false. So this loop's going to terminate. We're going to go down here, print our extra blank line, and then update the value of count by adding 1 to it. It's going to become 2. So at the end of the second iteration, it printed 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. Now we're going to go up for the next iteration. We need to check to see if the outside loop control is still true. Checking is 2 less than 3. That's true. So it's going to go through another iteration. We're going to set the second count equal to 0. Then check to see if that's less than 3. That's true. So we're going to do the loop body. We need to update the value of result. So it's going to be count times count. That's 2 times 2, which is 4. Then we're going to print the result, which is 4. And then update the value of second count by adding 1 to it. Then we're going to check to see is second count less than 3. It is, so we want to calculate a new result. We want to make it equal to 2 times 2, which is just 4 again. Then we're going to print out the result. And then finally, update the value of second count, so it's 2. We're going to check the loop control. 2 is less than 3, so we're going to execute the loop body again, calculate the value of result. That's count times count. 2 times 2 is 4. And then we're going to print that out, 4. And then we're updating this value of second count, so it's going to be 3. We're checking to see if 3 is less than 3. That is false. So it's not executing the body of this loop anymore. We're coming down here and setting third count equal to 0. Now we're going to test the next loop condition. We're seeing if 0 is less than 2. That's true, so we're going to execute the loop body. First thing we do is calculate a new value for result. We want it to be third count, which is 0, plus count, which is 2, so that's 3. Oh, wait. 0 plus 2 is 2. It's going to be 2. Sorry. Then we're going to print out the value of the result. That's 2. And then we're going to update the value of third count. We're going to make it equal to 1. Now we're going to check the loop condition again. We want to see if third count's less than 2. 1 is less than 2, so we want to execute the loop body again. We're going to set result equal to third count, which is 1, plus count, which is 2, so it'll be 3. Then we're going to print out the value of result, it's 3, and then update the value of third count, so it's 2. And then we'll check the loop condition again, checking to see if 2 is less than 2. That's false, so it's going to print an extra blank line. And then update the value of count by adding 1 to it. So count's going to become 3. And now we're going to go up to the top of the loop and check the loop condition again. At this point, count is not less than 3. 3 is not less than 3, so the whole loop terminates. That's the end of the program. So the second iteration, or the third iteration where count was equal to 2, that was the last iteration of the loop. It printed 3 4s, a 2, and a 3. There is no loop iteration where count is equal to 3. So the last question on this page would be that there's no output from that iteration. Let's run our program just to verify our output, make sure we get the same thing that we got when we traced it by hand. We got 4 zeros and a 1, and then 4 1s and a 2, and then 3 4s, and then a 2 and a 3.